Hi, Mr. Tuzani and Dr. Zakaria. Um, I'm recording this video as a follow-up to our meeting last Thursday to discuss how we can incorporate the Euro standards into the passenger and tons kilometer approach that you're taking to the transport sector analysis in LEAP. So I want to outline how, say for Petit Taxi, how we can incorporate tons kilometer into this way of estimating the emissions. The first thing to note is that we have all of the emission factors under the road transport detailed methodology. We have all of the emission factors for the different Euro standards here. As I mentioned on Thursday, we have two methods for estimating emissions. For carbon dioxide and methane, the emissions are estimated based on the total amount of fuel that is consumed, the tons or the kilograms per terajoule of energy consumed. For air pollutants, we have an equation. The emissions are calculated based on the total activity, the number of vehicle kilometers in this case, times by the road emission factor, which is in grams per vehicle kilometer. So as we go into the passenger kilometer and the tons kilometer approach, we need to convert those passenger kilometers or those tons kilometers back into the vehicle kilometers. Or we need to convert our emission factors in grams per vehicle kilometer into grams per ton kilometer. To make that conversion, we need to have a space to enter the occupancy of the vehicles that we are using. So that's the first thing that I'm going to do. The first thing is I'm going to add under Transport National a place for entering the occupancy of our vehicles. When we're creating a new variable, we need to be clear where we are specifying it, where we can enter that data. In this case, we want to be able to enter it in Transport National, and we want to enter it at this level here, at the level of motorcycles and petit taxi and vehicle de tourisme, etc. So that is 1, 2, 3 levels down from our top branch. And the same here. 3 levels down from our top branch. So I'm now going to click here, right click here, and click add user variable. And I'm going to call it occupancy. And I'm going to call it passenger So this could be called load factor. It's commonly called load factor as well. I'm going to call it occupancy. And it's the passengers or the number of tons per vehicle. And I'm going to add into the notes number of passengers or tons per vehicle. The key thing is to define the visibility of these branches. So I want it to be visible at all demand branches, and I want it to be visible in current accounts and in scenarios, so that, as Mr. Tuzani said, we can change it into the future. I'm going to select the Transport National branch to be able to enter this data. I'm going to select Transport National as being the top branch, and I want it to be visible 3 levels down from that, as we just explored. So now if I go to my transport national and to road transport, I can now enter the occupancy of my vehicles. So say a motorcycle is 1.2, a petit taxi might be 1.5, vehicle de tourisme might be 1.5, buses 20, and a grand taxi maybe 4. These values are made up. We need to try and get appropriate values for Morocco if they are available. I think you have them in the spreadsheets that you've been using. Okay, so that's the first addition we need to make to create this occupancy branch. Let's focus now on an example for petit taxis. What we want to do when we are creating what we want to do when we're creating the Euro standards is to put this another level down. So we want to have the fuels that we're using, and then after that the Euro standards, the technologies. So what I want to do is to right click and click add, and I want to add in folders, category branches for gas, diesel oil, hydrogen, electricity, and LPG. So I'm actually going to delete the branches for each of these in this data set. I'm going to delete these branches for each fuel, and I'm going to add them back in as category branches. So under petit taxi, I'm going to add now diesel as my first fuel, and then I'm going to add in LPG as my second fuel, and then I'm going to add electricity, and then I'm going to add hydrogen, I think was the third one. So under electricity, I can add now a technology branch with electricity as the fuel. With hydrogen, I can add a branch with hydrogen as the fuel. With LPG, I can add in the emission factors for LPG for the different Euro standards in the same way that I can add in diesel. But what this does allows us to split the petit taxi passenger kilometers into our different fuels and then into our different Euro standards. So let's do this for diesel. For the emission factors for the petit taxi, I'm using the passenger car emission factors. So let's take the Euro 1. What I want to copy from the detailed road transport branch is the branch called distance travelled. So I want to copy that and paste it under petit taxi. And then I want to rename it Euro 1. And as we saw on Thursday, at the moment we have these red equations because we don't have a value called road M factor in the in our tabs here. We don't have a variable called road M factor that we can enter. We're going to change the visibility of that variable once we've entered all of the vehicle emission standards. So I'm going to go back to diesel, and I think Euro 2 we can add in. So I'm going to copy Euro 2 under diesel again. I'm going to do the same for Euro 3. I can't remember the euros that you wanted to add in. So you can adjust this as needed. I'm going to do Euro 3 and then I'll do Euro 6. I think you wanted to add Euro 4 as well. I can't quite remember. But let me just add in one more for Euro 6 and then I think you'll get the point. So then right click under here. And we've got Euro 6. So I want to do this for each fuel. So I want to then do this for LPG. I want to do it for vehicle de turismo, for all different types of vehicles and fuels. And then I want to fix the equations so that these turn blue. There's two things I need to do that. The first is to go up to transport, road transport detailed, and find the road M factor user variable and go to road M factor properties, to right click on it and go to road M factor properties. And I want to change its visibility. I don't want it to be visible under road transport detailed anymore. I want it to be visible under transport national. And I want it to be visible 5 branches below, I think. Let's click OK and see what happens when I do that. Road M factor here has disappeared. If I go down to Transport National, Passengers, Route, Petit Taxi, Diesel, my road M factor has come back. Now at the right place. Oh no, sorry, in the wrong place. I don't want to enter it under Euro 1. I want to have the road M factor entered for carbon dioxide, for carbon monoxide and VOCs and NOx. So I've entered it in the wrong place. It's too aggregated. So this is 1, 2, 3, 5 levels down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels down, sorry. I want it to be 6 levels down, so it's down at the level of the pollutant. So I made a mistake there, I apologize. I want that to be 6 levels down. Now I've got my road M factor and I've got my emission factors back. Grams per vehicle kilometre. And my equations have turned blue. Fantastic. At the moment they will give the wrong answer because the road M factor is grams per vehicle kilometre, but our activity is passenger kilometres. Our activity here is passenger kilometres. So I need to make 2 changes. The first change, which I hadn't noticed, is that under activity level, the activity level for Euro 4 is vehicle kilometres. That's wrong. It should be % share of passenger kilometres and % share of passenger kilometres. So I want to change it so that my variables are % share of passenger kilometres. So all the time I'm breaking down the activity level. See if that still works. So now my equation is total activity passenger kilometers times road M factor. So now that this is broken down my share of passenger kilometers, I want to now convert my passenger kilometers into vehicle kilometers. There's two ways that we can do this, that we can alter the equation. So we could either divide the equation here by the occupancy. So I could divide by, and then if I drag petit taxi over, I'm sorry, let me do this under builder. If I drag petit taxi here, then I can select occupancy as the variable. And I click submit. So now I have this equation entered here where the emissions are calculated by dividing by the occupancy. Passengers per vehicle. So that converts my passenger kilometers into vehicle kilometers. So that's one way of doing that. I can then copy that equation and paste it for all my other variables, all my other pollutants. So I'm just pressing Control V to copy and paste this for all the other pollutants. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to divide, or the other way of doing it is to divide my grams per vehicle kilometer by the occupancy. So instead of dividing the average environmental loading, we divide our road M factor by, let me do it under the builder, divide by the occupancy. And that then converts this emission factor from grams per vehicle kilometer to grams per passenger kilometer. So both ways we can do it. It's just a different way of calculating the equation, but they're the ways that we can the ways that we can do this. So I hope that's been helpful in terms of how you can create the Euro standards within the passenger and tons kilometer approach in LEAP. I look forward to talking to you on Thursday. Please let me know if you have any questions. Bonne journée.